Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Saturday, March 15th. Okay, so we have the moon in Libra energy here all day. Of course, we shifted into this Libra energy after we had our full moon lunar eclipse pop off in Virgo energy. We passed the baton over to the Libra energy, putting Venus, the ruler of Libra energy, in a little bit more of a powerful placement over our emotions. But of course, we have to understand that Venus is currently retrograde in Aries energy that directly opposes her rulership here in this Libra energy. So there's going to be a lot of teeter-tottering, a lot of choice points, a lot of pivoting taking place in our emotions, in our heart space. And of course, just a reminder, we're still very much under the influence of the full moon energy, let alone the eclipse energy that we will be sitting in until April 12th. So to say that there's a lot going on is an understatement. Of course, here today we have Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, ruler of information, communication, how it is that we express ourselves, going retrograde. And of course, he was in a very powerful placement over this full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo energy, passed the baton to Venus, and now he's peacing out. He's going into the underworld to chase Venus down. We have a restructuring going on between our heart and our head. And so there's a major recalibration of energies taking place here, not only today, but in the coming of weeks. And today, lucky for us, we only have 5 different aspects. 4 of those aspects are going to involve the moon because the one that doesn't is Mercury retrograding. So we have to remember that outside of the full moon energy, outside of the eclipse energy, that the moon in Libra, typically speaking, is always a little bit of a back and forth tug of war, because the whole point of the Libra energy is to find peace and harmony and balance. And of course, we do all of those things, or attempt to do all of those things, through the process of extremes. And anytime that we're just kind of starting out with the moon in Libra transit, although our energy and effort wants to keep things light and fluffy, although we want to stay in the shallow end of our thoughts and of our emotions, there's too much going on right now, too much intensity going on right now to do that. Not only are we wrapping up the final days of Pisces season, the final days of this old astrological calendar, but again, we're under a full moon influence, intensifying our emotions. We're under an eclipse energy, adding fated events to our day-to-day in order to get us on the path that we failed to put ourselves upon. And overall, there's just not a whole lot of grounding energies to find a new grounded point in. And so the next couple of days of having the moon in Libra energy should prove to be a very interesting time. With all of that being said, 2:42 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Mercury is going to retrograde. So again, there is an astro forecast out there for this particular event. If you have your March energy guide available to you, definitely pop that out, capture what is going on for you, because we're going to be revisiting a lot of topics and themes that we wish we could put behind us, that we wish we could be done with, that again, the universe has other plans for us. So as we kind of go retrograde here, we're going to kind of be retracing our steps, especially not only from when Mercury entered into this Aries energy on March 3rd, but kind of takes us back into those final weeks of February, which again, many of us were not in a good place, mind, body, and soul with, because again, Pisces season this time around has been extra difficult. That being said, it is very important to just understand that the Ascension symptoms will be popping off. We have a planet going retrograde that rules over our headspace. There's a lot of head pressure. If you need to listen to the Ascension forecast for this week, definitely go ahead to that. There's an Ascension guide that you can download for the day-by-day play-by-play on what to expect from this week to come, or you could jump over to my Patreon, become a Patreon member, and get that day-by-day play-by-play and so much more content to help you stay in alignment with this particular energy. We move on from Mercury's retrograde. We sit in that for about 3 hours, and then we have the moon in Libra directly opposing, sitting across from Venus. Venus rules over this Libra energy. Venus is retrograde in Aries energy. Aries energy and Libra energy sit across from each other in the zodiac wheel. The Aries energy that Venus is currently retrograde in, very focused on what I want, what I need, what I deserve, what I desire. That Libra energy is kind of more focused on what other people want, what other people need, what other people deserve, and what other people desire. Libra energy very much focused on the partnership, on around the group, while the Aries energy is focused on us as an individual. And because Venus is retrograde in this Aries energy is about us getting to know thyself so that we can heal thyself, so that we can stand in our own power and do what is best for us, there is going to be a lot of tension in the heart space with this particular interaction, because again, we're trying to strike a balance and we're trying to convince ourselves that what we need to do for ourselves is the right thing to do, even though it's going to require us to be the bad guy, the villain in somebody else's story. So this isn't going to feel good. This is going to make us kind of question what we want, need, and desire. And the minute that we realize what we have to do to get it, that's when we start backpedaling. That's when we start convincing ourselves that maybe we could settle for a compromise somewheres in between so that we don't have to be accountable and responsible for quote unquote hurting other people. Now, is it hurting other people to do what is right for you? Or are you hurting yourself by dimming your light and doing what you think others want from you? This is the choice point that we're at. This is what a retrograde is all about. If you do want to do a deep dive on what this Venus retrograde is all about in the Aries energy, because again, we are going to be backtracking into the Pisces energy, there is an astro class that I did for the Venus retrograde that you can find over on my Patreon. You can grab that pay-per-view or of course become a Patreon member, and that is included in your membership. Now, that being said, the moon in Libra is then going to make a very uncomfortable interaction with Uranus, the great awakener, who is in Taurus energy. Now, Taurus energy and Libra energy, they have one very special thing in common, and that is Venus rules both of them. So again, we have Uranus trying to wake us up, trying to show us a different light, trying to show us a different perspective, trying to show us that we need to kind of tap into a rebellion type of mood and attitude so that we can do what is best for us without worrying about the consequences, the repercussions of other people's lives, watching us do what we need to do for ourselves. The Uranian energy is bringing a lot of energy into our central nervous system. There's definitely going to be a jitteriness. There's definitely going to be a lot of restlessness pop off. Again, check out the Ascension symptoms so that you can stay ahead of that particular game. But at this particular juncture, you know, Uranus usually brings clarity when he's being aspected in a great way. This isn't a great way. This is bringing confusion. The confusion is happening because we're allowing the thoughts, the ideas, the opinions of other people cloud our judgment and what it is that we need to be doing for ourselves. And so again, the moon in Libra trying to keep things light and fluffy, not going to happen here today, especially with this interaction with Uranus. There is a jolt to our central nervous system because our heart space realizes what we need to do for ourselves, and our head space is trying to talk us out of it because again, we do not like being the bad guy. The moon in Libra energy is then going to sit across from, directly oppose Mercury, who just retrograded in Aries energy. Again, Libra energy, Aries energy sit across from each other in the zodiac wheel. So our heart space, the moon, and our head space, Mercury, they're not on the same page. They're not going to be on the same page. First of all, Mercury's retrograde now. There is a deep, dark reflection that needs to take place on why it is that we feel so hell-bent, damn well and determined to dim our light and to give our power away to other people. This is us examining ourselves in relation to the relationships that we are cultivating, that we are pouring into, and whether or not that energy exchange is equal, is fair, is balanced. And spoiler alert, the answer is no. So as we kind of watch Mercury and Venus go through their retrogrades together, there is going to be a restructuring of the heart and head. That's what the whole point. And we are going to kind of reemerge on the scene after these retrogrades, after eclipse season, as a brand new version of self, empowered, healed, changed, transformed, in a way that is going to put ourselves in a placement of power, put ourselves in the leadership role to do what is best for us first and foremost. But we are not there yet. We have a few weeks of the teeter-totter back and forth, back and forth, back and forth in order to find this brand new sweet spot between honoring what we need to do for ourselves and still honoring the relationship dynamics that we deem to be of worth and value to continue to pour into. The last thing that we have going on here today is the moon in Libra energy trining, which is a beautiful interaction and pretty much the only positive aspect that we have popping off here today, with Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, and blessings, who of course is in Gemini energy. So the interesting point here that I want to make is, first of all, we are dealing with air on air action. This is what gives us our trine. We have a cardinal air sign with Libra. We have a mutable air sign with Gemini. Both Libra and Gemini are constantly on the fence, debating the pros and cons, teeter-tottering back and forth. Now, the difference is that the Gemini energy, because it is very rooted to the identity of the ego self, the Gemini energy doesn't struggle as much with deciding on what we need to do for ourselves versus what it is that we want to do to try and keep the peace with other people. Whereas the Libra energy, again, constantly considering how other people are going to think, how other people are going to respond, how other people are going to just react to what it is that we need to be doing for ourselves. So Jupiter is here to kind of show us that we're going through a major growth chapter. He's also magnifying the ability for us to be changing our minds. Again, mutable air means that we are constantly being presented with new perspective, new ideas, new opinions for us to change our perspective and mind. And we're talking about ideas here. You know, Jupiter wants us to grow and expand on some of the information, wisdom, knowledge, some of the ideas that we previously had. The moon in Libra, emotionally speaking, again, wants to kind of hold on to the silver linings, hold on to any glimmer of light, hold on to any prospect that could possibly excite us at this particular juncture. Because again, the attempt to stay in the shallow end of our thoughts and our emotions is very strong with the Libra energy. So this is definitely going to put us in a little bit more of an optimistic perspective, put us in a situation where we are kind of thinking about the possibilities, the options that we currently have on the table. And of course, we're trying to convince ourselves and lean into one path, one direction, one choice point over the other.